Hi, everybody. If we haven't met before, my name's John, and I'm part of the team at the Sync Center. In this video, I want to talk about two things. The first, I want to introduce you to a new member of our team. Her name's Lexi Jackson, and we're going to bring her on soon to tell you all about the second thing, and that's a new series announcement that we're kicking off today. She'll tell you all about it. But before we get there, I'd love for you to smash the like button below. We're releasing videos that are really important when managing music for films or ad campaigns or video games, whether you're a filmmaker or editor or an ad executive managing a corporate event or musician creating music. There's more and more music being used in more and more places. So we take time each week to really clarify things, define things, and add really a baseline blocking and tackling to what happens in the sync space. Lexi, welcome to the series.
Ooh, hello. Thank you so much for having me. I just want to say I'm super pumped and really excited to get started with things here. Like you said, hi, my name is Lexi. I reside in Baltimore, Maryland. So I am a remote sync associate, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I love that that has been a really unfortunate results of the pandemic and things, like more remote opportunities becoming available, and I'm definitely jumping on that and getting really excited for it. So yeah,
we are so glad to have you joining us.
yeah, thank you so
I
much.
guarantee the world will know the name Lexi Jackson because she's very gifted. She has a deep bench of knowledge on the music side of things, and she's very administrative, detail oriented, process driven on the left side of the brain. So
thank you.
which is super important for music licensing because we go back and forth all the time. So welcome aboard, Lexi.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much. That's so nice to hear as well. I appreciate that so much.
Of course. Of
yeah.
course. So Lexi, can you kind of give us a little backstory on how you got here, what got you here, and maybe your
Okay, so let's see. Like I said, I'm in Baltimore. There's a lot of really great music here. There's a lot of local talent. I actually am an artist as well, so I became an artist based off of my love for music and being a musician. I grew up playing all different types of instruments. The very first instrument that I started with was actually trumpet. That's my baby right there. I started that in grade school and quickly realized oh, I not only love this, but I want to do even more of this. Then I winded up playing alto sax in in high school. There were too many trumpets in the band, says my band director, and he's like, some of y'all need to learn something else. So for a year, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna learn a new instrument today. So I learned a new instrument, and then that kind of opened my eyes to the realm of other instruments to play, which led me to guitar and then later to piano, and all of that kind of led me towards making my own music, because at this point, I know how to play all these things, but I want to create something of my own was kind of my mindset. I had always been writing lyrics and things like that, but I never knew the musical side of how to combine those two things together. So that was kind of where I started with that, and then all of that led me to music production, and that's actually kind of what started my sync journey a little bit. So I took a music production certificate and finished that, learned how to produce the music that I was learning to make for myself. And that, like I said, opened a whole bunch of opportunities in terms of getting to meet different filmmakers and learning what sync licensing was and understanding that whole process, the nitty gritty of it, at least as much as I could, considering a lot of it was me just teaching myself and being interested in the topic. I'm like that with a lot of things. I'm a very curious person. So typically when it comes to me wanting to learn how to do something, if I want to know, I will go find it. I will find that information, and that's how I find out things. And
figure it
that's
out.
Exactly. I'm a very figure it out person for sure. Sometimes too much. Sometimes I figure out things that don't need to be figured out,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
what can you do?
yeah.
Yeah. So actually, that same kind of can do spirit is kind of what opened my mind to music supervision as a profession because one day, so first off, let me just say I'm a huge Grey's Anatomy fan. I love TV, I love movies of all sorts, except for horror. I'm not a really big horror fan, to
Oh, okay.
be completely honest. Yeah, not a
Yeah,
huge one, but I
that's
mean,
all
I'll
right.
watch a couple here and there. Yeah, but anyway, Grey's Anatomy, I'm a huge fan. And it was an off season. It wasn't on at the time, but I was craving it. And I had already seen all the seasons at that time. I didn't want to rewatch. So I went on demand and I found some like behind the scenes type video that they had. And the behind the scenes type video that they had was all about the music of Grey's Anatomy. Which, for those of you watching who are familiar with Grey's Anatomy, the music is stellar, and literally finding out that all of that music and processing things came from a team and a person, that like blew my mind to
Yeah,
understand like, oh my gosh, Alex Patsavas, she's a person and she can do these things and she is the one in charge of the things like that just, it blew my mind. And then having her as a female, forefront and the lead of this type of thing was also very inspiring as well.
yeah.
So,
She's
yeah,
fantastic.
that's when I decided like, okay, I want to do that. And
Hmm.
I pretty much just did everything I could up until this point to get there. And I'm just riding along on the journey.
Hmm. Love it. Love it. So as we talked earlier, Lexi, there's a lot of different ways to approach sync. You can approach it from the music side first. You can approach it from the supervision side. You can approach it from editing and film
Mm-hmm.
production and music clearance.
Mm-hmm.
So we deal with all those different points of entry in the sync
Mm-hmm.
world. So
Yeah.
um, part of what we do at the Sync Center is really help people understand the blocking and tackling of sync licensing. We get calls every week from people who are frustrated and confused,
Yeah.
trying to do the right thing,
Mm.
but
It's tricky.
Universal won't pick up the phone. Well, yeah, they don't do
Yeah.
that. Um,
Yeah.
so a big part of what we do is really trying to help just give people a baseline of terminology, basic processes of who does
Mm-hmm.
what in the sync space. So
Mm-hmm.
um, do you want to kind of talk about the new series announcement and share some of that?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So, um, starting this month, we will be opening up a new series called, drumroll please, the beautiful, the Sync Center Help Desk. So the Sync Center Help Desk, like I said, is going to be a brand new series that we're putting online to basically be available to all those who need it. So that would be the filmmakers of the space, ad executives, musicians, producers, people interested in licensing themselves. Maybe you want to open up your own publishing company, but you don't know how to get the songs and pieces of art that you are, publishing and producing, you don't know how to get them out there into the world. So all that is what we're going to cover essentially. And the really beautiful, fun part about it is it's going to be interactive. It's going to
Yeah.
be a very transparent conversation, just the two of us talking and going over the the pitfalls that people tend to fall into, the difficulties that people find themselves in, and also, maybe even just having that like light at the end of the tunnel
Right.
of sorts, so that despite the fact that these things that you're encountering are a little bit difficult to endure, it's not the end of the world. We're here to help you. And that's literally what the help desk is all about.
Love it.
So yeah.
Yeah. And so we're going to be doing a weekly, really just conversation. Lexi's going to bring some questions. We're going to talk about some case studies. We also want to hear from our viewers. So as you're watching this and you have questions, definitely leave your questions below. We want this to be transparent and interactive. And really, we want to add maximum value to you. As you carve out 20 minutes for an episode of the Sync Center series, you know, we want to have fun and we want to give you maximum value. And that's really the ethos of the series. So
Sure, for
Lexi,
sure.
I'm looking forward to this series. Lexi's going to be taking the ball and she's going to be the host and organizing all this. So I am super excited to be part of that, Lexi.
Yeah, for sure. I will be your Sync Center quarterback.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah, I actually, being somebody who, like I said, I'm self-taught, I like to figure things out. I feel like having a series like this is going to be crucial and really important to the people who are the same as me,
Right.
who, you know, they want to learn things, and but the internet is an extremely vast place. There is so much going on there.
Yep.
Sometimes it can be hard to delve through and figure out, okay, what's the good information, what's the okay information. That's literally what
You
we're here
just
to help you do, you
you
know.
just hit it on the head. There's a ton of well-meaning people who maybe approach it from music library side, and
Yeah.
that's a good, nothing wrong with that, but that doesn't appeal to, that's not for everybody. So we want to really take a full orbed look at it and really approach it in an organic way. So some of the topics we're talking about, Lexi, I'll start some of these and you can jump in here, but we're going to talk about
For sure.
building sync relationships throughout this series, how to not be that guy in the sync world. There's a lot of spamming of supervisors who you know, don't know what they don't know and just try to spam. We're gonna hit on that. We're gonna talk about SaaS tools. We're gonna talk about case studies, Buick, the Final Four, Microsoft that we work with, essentials that filmmakers need to know before starting a project, budgeting. There's a ton of stuff. What are some others, Lexi?
Yeah, I know some of the other ones that, and mind you, the things that we're talking about right now that we're going to bring up, this is not even close to all the things that we're going to cover. This is just an overview.
Yep.
Then there's also rights holders information, music clearance in terms of what is it, the difference between rabbits, deer, and elephants, understanding the hierarchy of sorts of music selection, and what type of music is going to cost you a little bit more, or you know, what type of music may be a little bit more difficult to clear, and understanding why.
Yeah.
And as well as, I know you mentioned the case studies and projects. Also, we're going to have guests every now and again just to come in and express their experience with the sync world, as well as give their expertise with how they, you know, handled their situations with the different experiences they had. So yeah, I'm super excited for them.
Yeah, this is going to be great. We're going to talk about blind spots for composers. We're going to talk about blind spots for filmmakers. So there's kind of two sides of the transaction. There's the hey, I want your music side, and then there's hey, this is my music side, and we're gonna be talking about both of that. Yeah,
that's right.
So those are a few of the things that we're gonna hit. Go ahead, Lexi. You're saying?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, I know for me personally, this series is like, oh my gosh, if I would have had something like this a year ago, I probably could have saved myself a lot of time, for sure, because teaching yourself is great, but like you said, there's a lot of different methods of entry into this. So for me, that method was, oh, I'm gonna start making my own music and putting it out so that I can learn about the business and the from the artist's perspective. I don't want to be famous. I don't want to, you know, be having shows to 1 million people or anything like that. I just wanted to learn, you know, the business and to understand how everything worked. And then through that, I was able to make connections and meet other people involved with sync and all sorts of things. So just understanding that there's different levels and there's different means of entry, like you said, is really important. So
yeah, 100%. And there's so much music being licensed in more and more new places.
Yes,
Netflix, Prime, AT&T has exclusive content coming out, Apple TV. There's just
I didn't know about that.
There's billions and billions of dollars of new content being made, and guess what? all of it needs music. So,
Yep.
so that's kind of where we're going with this series. Also, too, if we've been collecting questions over the last 3 or 4 years, and we've assembled them all into something that we want to make available to all our viewers. And it's a Sync 101 Sync licensing field guide. It's about 80 pages of super common terms, concepts of the sync licensing space. So we want to make that available to all our viewers. That link should be either above or below somewhere here. You can grab that for free, as we want to really, get more and more music into more and more places.
Mm-hmm.
That tool, that 101 field guide, will be very helpful to you if you're a first-time filmmaker, film festivals, or if you're doing a theatrical release. We work up and down market there. So you definitely want to grab that as you're working in this space. So
yeah, for sure. I was gonna say, speaking of the guide, like actually that the guide is one of the reasons that made me contact and reach out to the Sync Center, because I realized just how much information I could learn and I could, absorb just from that guide alone, because that guide, it has so much great information, and it's
Thanks.
like fact checked, it's proofed, so know that the information you're getting is good information. So that's so valuable for sure.
No, I appreciate you saying that. There's so many pits in the space, and so many unknowns there, that we really take that serious, the idea of helping people understand this space in the blocking and tackling there. So with that, that's where we're going. And Lexi, I'm glad you're going to be taking the reins and leading us through this series. It's the help desk from the Sync Center, and we'll be kicking off the first episode next week.
Let's get it. I'm excited.
All right. Hit the like button below, download the field guide for sync licensing, and we will see you next week.
Oh, wait, one more thing.
Yeah.
Can't forget this one.
What's that?
Drop your questions down below as well. If you have any questions that you want us to answer, especially for our upcoming episode, definitely drop those down, because we have our list of topics and things that we want to cover. But at the end of the day, we want to know exactly what it is that you're facing, the challenges that you're coming up against, and we want to know how we can best help you, even if that means making a whole episode dedicated to a question that you asked about. So
100%.
Definitely drop those down.
Thanks for catching that, Lexi.
Yeah, for sure. Gotcha.
Awesome. Great. Anything else, Lexi?
I think we're good until next week.
All right. So we'll see you next week. Put your questions below, and we'll see you there.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye, everybody.